I don't know if it actually was. It was just how you're going to beat James Stewart for one lap on a Supercross track. But whether it's determined by you or other, they're going to make it sound like this is strategic.
You know as well as I do, sometimes all it is whatever they have to do to tell themselves to be confident the following weekend, they're going to tell themselves, right?
Sure.
And I would love to add a wrinkle to the story if Chase Sexton go out and qualify fastest. That would be, he's back, right? Because then that's going to send a message to Jet 2, and then we're going to be set up for a perfect night's racing.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to Q2, and I would imagine we're going to get some more answers. Is it going to take a first-place qualifier? I mean, he got third. Is that not good enough? Does he have to get first here?
I think that's the goal. I really believe he wants to send that message to Jet. I think there is a lot to be said for qualifying first. Is it going to matter at the end of 21 minutes? Absolutely not. But it really does matter this afternoon. All right. Well, hey, we're going to be right back. We're going to talk Tomac in just a little bit. So stick around when Race Day Live returns.
Tomac wins A1. What a performance. Eli Tomac. Back-to-back wins to start 2023.
Since 1998, Fly Racing has aimed to provide customers with the very best in off-road performance products. Led by the revolutionary Formula S Smart Helmet, Fly Racing continues to push innovation and safety to new levels. Never before has style and technology blended together so seamlessly as the 2024 Fly Racing lineup. For more information, check out flyracing.com or your local Western Power Sports dealer. Follow @Fly Racing USA on social media and cheer for all of the Fly Racing riders in the Super Motocross Championship.
Well, we had 5 winners last year in the Premier class. Some thought it'd be more, some thought it might be less. I want to bring in and welcome Clinton Fowler from WeWentFast.com, where I get a lot of my intel and stats from. But we want to talk about this, and you've got an interesting take on this. I would think there'd be possibly, with as stacked as the gate is, there might be even more winners. So again, we have 5. We had Cooper Webb, who won a couple. We had Ken Roxon, that was a big win, right? Barsha in East Rutherford and that Mutter, and then we also have Sexton and Tomac. So there were 5 going into this year. With as stacked as the gate is, how many you think are going to take it? Is it 14? How many winners can we have out here?
Dan,
I'm joking.
I'm going with 3. I'm going with 3. I think, and I know, it's not the popular choice, but the reality is the stacked field is 15 people at the press conference. Obviously, a ton of people could win. But the reality is I think it's going to take an incredibly well-rounded person to win. Right? The riders are going to have everything covered. They're going to have speed. They're going to have great starts. They're going to have to be able to pass and come through the pack. They're going to have to limit the mistakes, and they're going to have to get in front early to just be able to win. And so for me, I look at it and I go, we're going to see Jet Lawrence win a bunch. We're going to see Chase Sexton win a bunch, and we're going to see Eli Tomac win a bunch. And I think that's it.
Those 3. Those are it. That's it. No one else. Yeah. Not possible. Not going to happen. You heard it here first. Yep. Ricky Carmichael won't make predictions. This guy will. That's why you're on this show, buddy. That's why it is. He is. Think of all the people he leaves out. I want to bring it to you now. What do you think, man?
It's going to be a big. It's going to be a big number. Yeah. It's going to be a big number because you look at the depth of talent and the guys that have done it before. He's leaving out Cooper Webb. He's leaving out Ken Roxon. He's leaving out Jason Anderson.
How dare you?
Those 3 right off the top. You know, and that's not counting like a guy like Hunter could find a way to get it done. I just think we have this unique opportunity to have a lot of race winners. And I understand his point. 21 minutes, a lot of things get sorted out, and you're going to have to be the best guy, your best night to get it done. But you know, it's okay to have feelings. It's not all zeros and ones. I know stats are your thing. I got it. But
I've got a heart.
I'm not going to discount the talent that we've seen because it is truly on a level that I don't believe we've ever seen before, right? And I'll put it up against any field we've ever had. You look through the amount of champions that we have, multi-race winners that we've had, it's nothing like this. And I believe that all of these guys, do they think they're going to be champion? Maybe not. But are they going to steal a win sometime this year? I think so. And look back at last year. Did we think that Ken Roxon was going to find a way to win when we were watching him struggle at A1? Absolutely not. Justin Barcia? Absolutely not. But they got it done in 2023.
You know, and JT, it's an interesting take. Look at the Indy race last year with Ken Roxon, right? Obviously an incredible race, a fan favorite win. But I think in this season, that scenario.
There you go again.
That scenario, we're not going to see that. There's going to be one guy that makes a mistake.
You can say you're not going to see
but
that.
But of those three riders, of Eli, of Chase, of Jet, I just don't think all three of them are going to make a mistake in the same night, right? I could be wrong, obviously.
Hey, I love these other riders. Like, if you're listening, Ken.
Yeah.
I got your back. We're going to have to take that up here. I have your back. You guys are amazing.
Asterisks on that love.
Kenny's going to be holding the Kickstarter sometime this year, and he's going to dedicate it
to me being wrong.
Dedicated.
I'm okay with being wrong.
Watching when you win, and you will win at least one race this summer, please, or this Supercross season, please do.
How could you sit in with Jason Anderson, that beautiful baby dog?
I know, Siggy. I mean, I'm a new dad. I can't. I know. Trust me.
How could you do it?
I chose him last year. I mean, he's got a new bike. It's last year. I look at the mistakes. Anyhow.
I get it. I'm optimistic we're going to have an all-time type season where there's parity throughout the field, and every time the gate drops, you're going to be like, whose night is it? That's what I'm dreaming about, and that's what I'm hopeful for.
What about first-time winners? You never know. Malcolm Stewart could come out firing. We'll see how he does in qualifying here. Aaron Plessinger in Detroit. Right? He was that close. All of us, Heartbreak City.
Would have been amazing.
Including him, would have been incredible. But some of these guys could have that anomalous breakout race or a breakout year.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think some of them haven't gotten it done yet. You look at Malcolm Stewart, the speed he's displayed over the years, how many times he's been so close. You got to think he's going to have that breakthrough night one time. And I want that type of season where there's parity throughout.
So give me a number. You're adding in Malcolm Stewart. You're adding in AP7. Give me your number.
14.
14. Yes.
We're going 14.
I'm with this guy. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you
The heat. I'll take the heat. I'll take the heat, gentlemen.
All right. Well, hey, that's the hot take. We'll come back here at the end of the season, and maybe next year in the Super Motocross World Championship or even outdoors, we'll go ahead and talk about it. One guy who could definitely put up a win on the 450 is Hunter Lawrence. You just mentioned him, and Lurch has him down there.
Hunter, as far as media goes, a little low on the radar coming in, lining up against some of the best that have ever thrown a leg over a bike. Where do you see writing this first chapter of 450 career?
Here in Anaheim. That's where I see it kicking off. Hopefully a good weekend. And, come in a little somewhat under the radar, nothing too crazy. Some Jet Lawrence guys, probably the talk of the town, I can imagine. And, no, it's cool. Looking forward to it. It's a long series, man. We got 31 rounds this year, 17 of Supercross. So, just taking it step by step with the team, developing, learning more and stuff. So it's good.
Take away the championships. The resume between you and your brother, wins, podiums, is almost identical. Take us back to the Europe excursion, if you will, when you were pretty much running the train. He was following you behind you and learning so much.
Yeah, flashback, talk about that. Unreal. It's cool. It's crazy how the dynamics have changed. You know, everyone's career path is different. Obviously in Europe, I was kind of me and Dad, you know, hand in hand and just figuring out what to do, what don't you do, you know, like you make a big mistake or whatever, you go down 6 months down one avenue and it doesn't work back. So and Jetson kind of just had the path laid out for him, and now I'm in the back seat of learning and being able to just watch him, how he watched me, and learn all the good stuff, and it's cool. It's kind of cool. Hopefully I'll get him back soon, and but yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Lining up on the 250 opening round, comparing the 450 opening round, are the nerves the same or more intensified in 450?
I don't know. I wouldn't really say there's nerves. I mean, I want to do well. I think it's more excitement. I think just can't wait for it to be race time already. So it's going to be cool. Haven't lined up for the gate drop yet. So I'll be able to give you a bit better feeling and an idea of what that was like after tonight.
A lot of new rookies stepping up, 2 of them with the exact same name. Best of luck to both these guys.
It's going to be fun to watch, see what he can do along with his brother out here right now. We are grateful to be joined by the Lee Diffie and James Stewart. James, you were just in the booth with us. We've got the whole broadcast crew here from NBC. Lee, great to see you and excited for a new season and to have you on the mic there hosting the action. I want to talk real quickly about 2005 when we had a rookie, a young guy coming up, going up against a legend. There was a generational gap, and you've got one of them right there in the booth with you.
Dan, Happy New Year to you and JT and all of the listeners and viewers wherever you're watching Race Day Live. Yes, that young guy. Who was that young guy? 19, 20 years of age, making his big debut, and the story and history is almost repeating itself, isn't it, with Jet Lawrence at just 20 coming in and making his 450 Supercross debut. But let's wind back the clock, Stu. Look at that. Have a look at those. Happy memories. Tell us what you were thinking. Tell us what you were experiencing, because we're going to dovetail this in and do the comparison for Jet.
Well, it was just a crazy week actually leading up to that, because all the storms with El Nino and just getting ready for A1. I was so excited, and then it started raining, but the crowd was out. All I know, I was trying to beat that number 4. I was trying to beat him. I was so excited, almost too excited, and it was just a crazy night of racing that all 3 of us had struggles with me, Chad, and RC. But it was a good night, and yeah, I came out, I think, 4th place.
So based on your 125 career and success, you came into your 250 Supercross debut thinking and feeling what? I'm gonna take these guys based on your success from the smaller category.
Yeah, I tell my kids, the one thing you're gonna know about me, I'm honest. I thought I was gonna wax all them guys. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. And that was just the 19-year-old, 18-year-old. At that point, it was just, I was so excited, and I believe, kind of like what Jet Lawrence was. I believed in the equipment of my team, and I thought I was gonna come in here, but got a wake-up call. But it was almost the best thing that could have happened for me, because it gave me a lot of I wouldn't say humbleness, but just realization of how good these guys really were. And but it was a good night racing, Lee. It's
a similar but not the same story for this young man that we're looking at now, Jet Lawrence. And this is the reason why, folks. A quick reminder of what he did last year. 250 West Supercross. He had a 66% winning rate, 6 of the 9 races. Then he went to the Pro Motocross Outdoor season. We know what the story is there. 22-0, 100% winning record. And then on to the 450 Super Motocross World Championship. Of those 6 races, James, he won 3 of the 6 to claim the inaugural season. So he has had that experience. And especially if you think about the last time we were here in LA, right, at the Coliseum, it was more of a Supercross style track. We've already seen the first time qualifying practice session. He is on top by more than a second. So how much did that LA Coliseum track and that experience on a 450 with these guys, all bar Eli Tomac, play into this?
Oh, big time. It's almost like he's coming into it his second year, because he got the 22-0 in outdoors, and then to be able to come in here and win the SMX World Supercross Championship, and then he won it down in LA. So there's a lot of factors that, even though it's his first Supercross race, he's coming in with that confidence and almost a little bit of calmness about it, that he's been here and done that before. And I believe in his mind, Eli's just another guy out there. You could tell by the lap times that he's here, feeling pretty good. He seems really open, happy, jumping these stewable jumps. The kid looks great. I'm not going to lie. The kid looks great, but that's why we go racing, and I do believe there's going to be some good racing tonight with everybody.
And again, Dan, I'm not sure if you guys have discussed it on RDL or not, but we're without our little mate. We're without the GOAT, Ricky Carmichael, this evening, as you guys are without JB, Justin Brayton, both of them feeling a little under the weather. But the GOAT, Ricky, will be back next weekend when we're in San Francisco. So looking forward to that, and, of course, looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, same here, Lee. And, James, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you guys as well. Make sure you watch them tonight and this whole NBC broadcast crew. You can see them on Peacock, of course, and that'll be starting morning at 8 p.m. Eastern. Monster Energy Supercross Live, Anaheim Round 1. You got it right there. Very, very, very exciting to see that gate drop. And, of course, he mentioned Eli Tomac back, man. That's one of the things I'm most excited about. And even last year, we were talking about this. When we found out Eli was going to be coming back and he was going to be ready possibly to drop the gate, immediately I got excited about the 450 gate drops going down tonight.
Yeah, I said that 2023 made a great sacrifice for us. That was tragic what happened at Nashville. We lost Cooper Webb, who was actually second in points at the time. We lost a couple other guys. Jason Anderson, Justin Barsha went down. And then Tomac goes down the next week in Denver. That was terrible to not have those guys from the majority of the rest of the year. Cooper eventually came back. Anderson came back. But we never got Tomac back. And I think a lot of us left Denver thinking we would not ever get Eli Tomac back. The fact that he missed that time isn't great. But for tonight, it actually adds a lot more intrigue. This is no disrespect to anyone else in the field. But the fact that we've not seen Jet Lawrence and Eli Tomac on the same gate ever sets up that same story we just talked about. We had not seen James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael ever race. Chad Reed was the defending champ that night, but we had seen Reed race Stewart. We had seen Reed race Carmichael. That's the only combination out here we haven't seen yet, really, Tomac versus Lawrence. As bad as it was to have those injuries last year, it's kind of neat to have a little leftover, what's going to happen tonight?
Right. It's good for all of us. And I want to look back at that year. He wins the opener. Not very typical. I don't think he'd ever done it before. Wins a season opener and then has, again, defends that race in Daytona, wins again in Daytona. So going into Denver, these are where the points stood. I don't know about you guys, but when I look back now, I look at this, I thought he was even further ahead of Chase Sexton at the time. It wasn't that he could have wrapped it up in Denver, but not necessarily. Unlikely. It was going to go down to the last round because he did it the year before. Remember, he wrapped it up and then skipped the last round. He got a hurt knee. So look how close they were going into the last round. We set it up, and then disaster absolutely strikes.
And what made that even more unpredictable was the weekend before in Nashville, after a lot of riders had problems. I believe Tomac absolutely cruised it in. He led early. Sexton caught him. He didn't put up a fight. And it was clear at that point that Tomac was going to take the safe route over the final 3 rounds. And even with that, he still ended up getting hurt, which just shows the unpredictability of the game. And I want to give Sexton credit here. Nobody took more falls than Sexton last year. He got up every time. And there's something to be said for that. He even said at the end of the year, some people say I'm too bulky. Some people say I'm too heavy. I train to be able to take that punishment and get back up. And I have to say, he did every time. And he's the Supercross champion.
We got a taste of him riding earlier. I want to ask you, and we talked a little bit about it, but let's lock it down. What are your expectations for Eli in 2024?
Well, I think January is going to be a little bit of more of a slow start. And if you look back over the course of Eli's career, January hasn't been his best month.
It's been his MO.
He's like 3rd, 4th, 5th, leaving January. And I think we're going to get back to that. Last year was the outlier. He starts fast. He wins A1, even with crashing. I don't think we're going to see that Eli. And the hardest thing to get back after an injury, you lose this momentum, but the hardest thing to get back is that last 1 or 2% of intensity. And I think that's going to take him a minute to get back. So I think it'll be reminiscent of the 2019, 2020, 21 Eli, where he's a little bit slow starting, decent results, maybe get out of January and he's down 10 or 15 points, but the championship is in sight, and then progresses, and mid-season he finds that form again and catches fire. I just think it's a lot to ask coming off the biggest injury of his career to jump right back on the form and be that same guy he was last April. I just don't think that's reality. And you look at the form that Jet Lawrence is bringing where he's even elevating the bar even higher, that's going to be a tough thing for Eli to grasp here in early January.
And you just never know, right? He could light it up, come back second qualifying, whether it does well or not. You never know what could happen in a main event later on tonight. But let's all temper our expectations a little bit, as they probably are under the star tent.
Well, and I asked him, what does success look like in January? And he was quick to say, like, I just need to be relevant. I just need to be in the mix, and I want to have the championship in sight. He doesn't have to come out and win the first race and show everybody that he's the guy again. Just be in the fight, be championship relevant, and I think that will be success.
We'll have to pick up his qualifying in just a little bit. We'll be back with more action right now. Again, I mentioned earlier, we will have a Spanish broadcast on the Super Motocross Video Pass this year. First time ever for Supercross, and let's get to know one of the broadcasters right now on Race Day Live. Super Motocross fans, we have a very special treat. For the first time in the history of Super Motocross, we will have a Spanish broadcast going out worldwide on the Super Motocross Video Pass. I want to introduce you to one of the hosts of that show. This is Tommy Rios. Tommy, great to see you. How you doing, bud?
Hey, Dan, I'm doing great. I hope your Spanish is good, porque nosotros estamos listos para traerles la primera temporada de Super Motocross en español.
Sí.
Este año.
Muy bueno, muy bueno. I'm working on it, buddy. I got to get some tutoring from you, but I'm excited. And hey, I tell you what, bud, you have a lot of credibility. Not only are you hosting now, but you come from a supercross background and a motocross background. Talk a little about your history about riding the tracks like the one behind me.
Yeah, I grew up racing the amateur scene. I went to Loretta Lynn's from the time I was 10 years old, 65 cc's all the way through A-class, and did a full season of pro motocross. Suzuki factory amateur racer, Yamaha factory amateur racer. So I got a lot of experience, been training and riding with these guys for a really long time, and I'm excited to bring that experience that I have to the Spanish broadcast this year.
Hey, that knowledge is going to be invaluable with you as the analyst, and I got to tell you, putting a show together, I know behind the scenes here around us, there's a tremendous amount of work. It must have been hard for you guys to build that from the ground up. Tell me about that process to make this show happen.
Yeah, truthfully, it's been in months in the making. We got a whole team around us in Florida. We're going to be broadcasting remotely from the Feld Studios here in Tampa, Florida. And yeah, we have a whole team of people. Edgar Lopez, my play-by-play analyst, who has tons of experience with Sunday Night Football, calling the Olympics. So it's going to be a really, really great season. We got a super experienced team, and we've been working super hard to make this happen.
And hey, for a lot of Hispanic countries, there are people that don't speak English. So they might watch our show and might miss a lot of the action that's going on. They can see it, but they can't hear it. What do you think this means to Spanish-speaking people around the world?
That's right, Dan. We got the SMX Video Pass is broadcasted to 150 countries worldwide, and over 20 of those are Spanish-speaking. So we're going to attack those audiences that maybe tune in but don't understand what's going on. Maybe they don't understand how the bike's working or why the athletes are doing what they're doing or how they're doing it, or maybe even the format of the sport. Maybe they don't understand that. So we're going to be able to bring that to them in their own language in Spanish and engage those people who maybe are on the sidelines but don't understand really how it's working. So yeah, there's clearly a market for it, and we're super excited to be doing this en español.
Tommy, I think this is one of the coolest things we've seen in recent history for the Super Motocross world and community. So thank you and Edgar so much, and we're really excited to see the action. Again, you can check it out, the Super Motocross Video Pass, now with a Spanish-speaking host, play-by-play, and analyst. It's going to be awesome. Tommy, thank you so much for what you do, and we're looking forward to you in 2024.
Thanks, Dan.
One guy per LCQ.
So a little extra spotlight pressure.
Welcome back to Race Day Live, presented by Rocky Mountain ATVMC. We've got one of their guys right here, an S expert. Chase Cook is in the house. It is time to make our RM Fantasy SX picks. Chase, welcome to Race Day Live.
Happy to be back. Cannot believe we're already back for Anaheim 1. Feels like, well, because we get spoiled now. We get the Super Motocross playoffs, so you don't feel like we get an off season. It's incredible.
It's quick for us. Think about the riders who have to go through 31 rounds and then come back and do it. But they all look good out there, man. It's one in particular. I want to start with the picks here. First of all, if you are not signed up, talk about Rocky Mountain Fantasy, how people get signed up, groups, and all that good stuff.
Yes, it is rmfantasysx.com. It is free to play. You go in, you just create an account. You can join groups. You can create groups. And then after that, you just make your top 5 picks, and then there's a wild card. And you get the same amount of points as the rider you picked that finished in that position. There's a few other things, so you just go watch. I've done a how to play video. We do a live S Expert show on YouTube once a week where myself and Charles, we give stats on riders like Clinton over here. It's what we like to do is just talk about the riders and bench race. And
that's changed. The day of your show has changed?
Yeah, it's Wednesday at 4 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And some other big changes this year, too. Another big one is we still did over $100,000 in prizes. We gave away 3 brand new dirt bikes at the end of the year. But now, not only is it free to play, but we pay to play because there's RM Fantasy Cash, which means if you're eligible, you score points in fantasy, it translates into cash that you can go spend directly on Rocky Mountain's website. And you'll see it. It's incredible.
It's super fun. I joined a group a couple years back.
Me, baby.
My buddy Brian Crane got me
We each heard free money and just eyes grew.
Free anything for weeks.
You literally saw me. I was in a hallway out there. 10 minutes before I came in the show, I was signing up.
Yeah.
I just literally did. My 9-year-old son's dying to do fantasy, and I'm like, you know what would be – this is very simple. Pick a top 5, and today's 10th, I believe, wild card.
Yes.
He can figure that out. Let's sign up, and then you walked up, and I'm like, let's go.
Yes.
I didn't even know I could win Rocky Mountain cash, though.
So, and again, for RM Fantasy, it is the top 5. 1st through 5th. Wild card is 10th this week. That changes every week, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
For this show right now, I just want to get the number 1. Who is going to win A1 in 2024? I want to start with you, buddy.
I picked Tomac. And he didn't look the best in that qualifying session. Okay, we can do. All right. Here's the deal, though. I will take veteran experience over Jet, who was flying. Right? Jet almost rides like a veteran, but I feel like the nerves on him are got to be high. I just feel like him and Chase maybe feeling a little bit more pressure. Eli knows he ain't got to win it, but if he's in a position to, I will take veteran experience on a rough, beat-up racetrack. That's one thing about Jet we haven't discussed yet, or maybe you guys haven't. He's never raced on a 20-minute main event on a rough, rutted Anaheim 1 track. He's used to the 250s. It's going to be a different experience. He's never raced with the top 20 guys in the world. So I'm going to take experience over rookie.
We had a taste of it at the SMX finals, but this is even different.
I feel like this is a little bit more different than that. Yeah.
All right. Weege, what you got?
I said I wasn't going to, in my mind, this is how I was going to trick you guys. You asked me during commercial who I was going to pick, and I'm like, I'm not going to pick Jet Lawrence because they're all going to pick Jet Lawrence, but he didn't. And I think we know what direction Dan is already starting to lean in.
You don't know. I haven't said it yet.
So I feel like the draft pick's up for grabs. I'm just going to pick Jet Lawrence. Why not?
Okay.
There you go.
That's a tenable pick.
You think it is tenable?
That's a reasonable pick.
No one will ask you why you picked Jet Lawrence.
I don't even need to explain it. We're good. Yes. Go ahead.
Depends on what happens tonight, but I'm with Weege. I'm going Jet Lawrence.
Yeah, it's got to be one of 3 for you because you only think there's going to be 3 winners anyway. So clearly it's one of the 3.
Listen, it's going to be the first time ever that a rookie wins their first Supercross.
Now you're going to get some hate for that because of Ken Rocks in 2014, but he had raced a few 450 races, right?
He raced the 350 on the previous
year. Let me help you out as a broadcaster. Don't say it will be. It would be. Leave yourself an opening. It would be the first time.
It would be the first time if he wins, and that's why I'm picking him.
He doesn't need to leave an opening. This guy's so confident he's usually
He doesn't even need that.
No.
If I'm wrong, don't remind me.
He'll find some stats to.
Hey, I got to talk about mine because, as you mentioned, last year, man, Eli Tomac lit it up until Denver. He had that problem. But for me, you're right. Eli Tomac won the season opener. He said in the press conference he's feeling as good as he did last year that he does right now. And that tells me something, that he's feeling great. I'm going to pick Cooper Webb. Cooper Webb is going to come out on that bike. He's qualified second. And again, you can change your picks right up till almost
till the night show begins.
Till the night show begins, you can change your picks. I'm going with Cooper Webb. He's mad as a hornet. He's got a new bike back on a Yamaha.
Second in the first session.
Second in the first session. I think he is going to take it tonight. I'm looking forward to it. He's got no expectations, I think, on himself or his team. sorry, for himself, he's got all the expectations in the world, but from the rest of us, I don't think we're putting that pressure on him, but I know what he does, the way his mind works, and I think he is going to pick up an A1 win. And by the way, speaking of that, Haley Shanley was actually able to talk to Cooper Webb. How's that for a segue? Haley, you were able to talk to Cooper Webb and get some insight and hopefully make me right tonight.
Well, I think what stood out the most to me in this interview was the difference between when I spoke to him prior to SMX playoffs, when he announced the move to Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha, and to now. And he still has all the confidence in the world, but this time around, there's more of a subtlety to it. So I always enjoy my conversations with Cooper Webb. I hope you do too in this sit-down interview.
So, Cooper, I don't need to remind you that there is a lot of speed on the gate this season. I mean, looking at Eli, Chase, Jet, among any guy out there who could win at any given time, and there's a number of them. So how do you expect to compete with that this season?
Yeah, this year's the probably most stacked it's ever been. It always, every year, adds more excitement, more riders, more storylines, a lot of changes for everyone. So it's going to be an exciting season, a lot of fast, really good guys, a lot of champions now. For me, I'm going to stick kind of to my same program, and that's always come in and do the best I can and see where we need to work on, but be there over 17 rounds of Supercross, and I always put myself in a good situation, so I'm going to stick to that, and hopefully that'll put me in a good spot.
And just a few months ago, at the start of SMX playoffs, you made a very rare move, and that is to change teams, change manufacturers mid-season. But you said yourself that you got your butt kicked going 8-7-3. But you made an interesting comment, and you said, I needed to get my butt kicked. So help me understand that.
I think for SMX, you know, it was looking back, it was a much shorter timeline than I expected. I think it was one of those things where I came in super excited and motivated, and I had a great month or so leading in, but I guess what I meant by that is I honestly expected to go there and do really well, and I didn't. So I think for me, it opened my eyes to the work that needed to be put in, the speed that I needed to get to, maybe some bike changes we needed to get to, and overall just kind of fine-tuning my program. And it's one of those things, I think when you kind of switch to a new team, everything's, you know, fairy tale and you're happy and no problems. And that's how it was for the SMX rounds. You know, it was kind of like I thought I was in a really good spot, and then I got quickly reminded that these are the best guys in the world.
A lot of new for you, like you said, coming to Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha, but even more so in Anaheim 1. You're now teammates with Eli Tomac. He's back from injury. So as we look ahead this season, there may be situations where one of you is winning, the other isn't. So have you thought about how you might navigate that?
I think I've thought about it a lot. You know, when I signed here, I knew the consequences or the way things might be, and I knew it wasn't going to be traditional like Rider 1 and Rider 2, that we're both two-time Supercross champions, and you know, there's a lot of respect between us. That was the biggest thing for me and him, and now we're racing against each other on the same team with the same personnel. So I'm excited so far. The transition's been great between him and I, and we're able to, you know, even with the guys, like they'll try something with him and then they'll try it with me or vice versa, and we're able to kind of build and make the bike better together. So I think there's a lot of experience under the tent, and I'm sure, you know, one night I might have a great night or one night he might have a great night, but we know it's 17 rounds, and who knows, if things get spicy later in the year, then it might get spicy, but for now, I think everyone's staying the course.
You were injured towards the end of last Supercross season.
Oh, and Cooper Webb goes down, and he gets clipped by the rider. Oh, this is not good.
And you were on the couch, so to speak, when Eli went down in Denver. How did you respond in that moment when you saw what happened to him?
You know, at that point, I was second in points, and I believe I was 12 points back of Eli, so I was still in a great spot with, I think it was 3 rounds left. And yeah, just had that little tip over, got a concussion really bad. And, you know, that was my season. And then I honestly wasn't watching after that. I was pretty, you know, emotionally just kind of bummed. And I got text and saw the highlights the next morning that, you know, he had torn his Achilles and was out, and that Chase had gotten the points lead and it was over, you know. So definitely was tough. I know for Eli it had to have been the absolute toughest, but I feel like I was the second guy in command, knowing, man, maybe if I just would have stayed healthy, then all of a sudden I'm the points leader and could have been the champion.
You've performed really well under the pressure or lack thereof when you may be counted out, or people may not be expecting you to perform at the level that we know you can. So are you sensing any of that this season?
Yeah, I think it's always a little bit like I love the underdog mentality. You know, I think there's always a lot of hype around maybe some other guys, and I think for me, you know, I definitely get overlooked sometimes, but I have won this championship twice, and you know, I had one bad year in 2022, but besides that, I've been in the championship hunt the last